Welcome back. Today, I thought I'd do one of my favorite episodes of the year, ranking the top 21 prospects under the age of 21. Jokingly call it Forbes 21 under 21. So today we have quite a nice list. It was a lot of fun to go through this. Took me quite a bit longer than I thought it would, but I didn't mind. I probably missed one or two potentially, but I think I did my best to grab everyone. And so this is my final list, in my opinion. But obviously, when the guys are that underdeveloped at that age, so much can change. If you look at the list from last year, there's already so many changes. A bunch of guys graduated. Some guys didn't remake the list, even if they were eligible age-wise. It's pretty tough to be like a top 20 prospect in baseball under the age of 21. So these are the best teenagers and 20-year-olds in baseball and TLG right now, like I said, in my opinion. So I'll start with number 21. I got Loria on the screen here. Loria is the only reliever that cracked the list. I thought there was quite a bit of drop off of starters. It was really hard to do, as you'll see when we get to the top here. There's quite a bit of guys that pitching wise, the scouts are just so high on when they're like 17, 18, and then they get some scouting reports and their ratings just crash. So I didn't want to bake the whole list just off ceiling and toss a bunch of like 17-year-olds from the next draft and that are probably going to end up being like 8th round picks. So I tossed a couple of like the absolute highest ceiling guys on here, but I tried to keep it more so guys that have kind of proven it in the minors. Because in real life, or like in TLG, they always overrate guys with the potential. They'll put like 16-year-olds that have never done anything with all 20 currents, like number 2 in the entire prospect list if you simulate games in the future, which would just never happen in real life. Over guys that are like established just because they're ceilings, and then a year later they're all like fall to like 45s and they're not even in the top 100. That would just never happen. Like in real life, you look at the top 100, you'll never see a guy that just like hasn't played. Maybe like at the very end of the list, you'll get like the $5 million July 2nd international guys like Dominguez and some of the super hyped guys be like rated in like the 90s. But essentially, it's just guys that have proven it. So I try to kind of do that with pitchers. Pitchers are really hard to do. So this is probably the best reliever in baseball under the age of 21. He just had really nice tools across the board. He had all three categories. He's really good. He's really advanced with 40 stuff for his age. Wasn't as many guys under the age of 21 with high stuff that I thought. There's literally only like one guy with like 55 stuff and 50 stuff, as we'll see later in the list. So even having 40 at that age and 35s are super advanced for like 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds. So the fact that he has 70, 80, yeah, cracks this list a little bit. Looks like he'll be a really sure bet to be like a nice solid middle reliever, potentially even better. High leverage guy. So next up we have a very high ceiling guy. We have Loria here. Oh, sorry, my bad. I went to the same guy. I meant McClain here. The McClain is the high school draft pick. As like I said, I didn't want to include a ton of these guys because my scout especially seems to be really high on a bunch of the high school guys, or not high school guys, but guys in the next draft. But he's already 20, and the scouting report was average, which isn't bad. And he had just so many tools. I thought I'd throw him in here. The control is really low, especially for his age, but everything else was just so good. The stuff was so high, and the fact that he was a lefty and he throws hard and he has such an elite changeup. One of the best combinations in baseball is 75 and 80 and curveball change. So this guy's ceiling was just so crazy, especially with like 5 pitches. I just thought he's a safe bet to go in the top 5 next year, and just has all the makings to be one of the better left-hand relief prospects in baseball right away when he gets drafted next year. So or actually he's not even in the draft till 2030. Next year's draft's 29, so it looks like this is a guy that's going to be a really high pick in a couple years unless something bad happens. He blows his arm or something, but just looks super, super high ceiling, so I thought I'd throw him on the end of the list here, even though there's some guys that probably deserved it a little more than him. Next up, we have Joaquin Muniz. So this guy is pretty nasty. Another guy that hasn't really proven it, but he is 19 years old. He throws so hard, 100 miles an hour. Super high stamina, super, super good fastball, which is super important. And just had crazy current stuff and movement. And my scout could be way off. The USA also has some really, really high stuff. So looks like he is legit, but we'll see. He's already number 36 in the USA. Guy just has a crazy ceiling, and there's just not too many pitchers that look like this at the age of 19. Super valuable when it comes to trades, having a guy with this high of a ceiling. So we'll see what he turns into, but that's kind of like what those young aces look like. And about 30% of the time they turn out, and about 70% of the time they don't, or just turn into like what guys with a bunch of like 50, 50, 55 or something just end up being like number 4 or 5 starters. So we'll see if he lives up to the hype, but right now it's a lot more hype than it is production for sure, obviously. Next up, I didn't want to include all of TLG here, so I just do not want to leave out this really, really good left-handed pitcher playing over there. He's a Japanese guy. He is unbelievable. He has 45, 65 stuff, really advanced currents for his age. Only 19 years old, 45 and 35 currents is crazy. The three pitches are absolutely unreal. 80 hold, high work ethic. This guy is a guy I really hope comes over to North America one day, as he looks like he's going to be a freak. He looks like he got lit up this year playing with guys a lot older than him, but obviously this guy is just super talented. If this guy was in the draft this past year as a high school 18-year-old, he would have gone really high there with that high stuff and such amazing. The pitches currents are all like major league ready. Essentially, like if his movement control were higher, guys like just the pitch qualities are just so crazy. So if you're a guy that values pitch quality, you'll really like this guy. So I just thought it'd be cool to toss him in, because I thought he deserved to be ahead of like the reliever I just showed you, and then the college guy, and then that Colorado guy who hasn't done anything in the complex. So if you think about it, this guy probably at least he's played or whatever in Japan there, and just proven a little bit with how good those current pitch qualities are. So thought he deserved the number 8 spot on, or sorry, 7 spot on the pitcher list here. Next up, we start to get into a little bit of a tier difference here. These top 6 guys are all a lot better than the guys I've kind of gone over here. So Luis Duran. Luis Duran is a guy that was a scouting discovery, and he only had 40 control at one point and 25-25 movement, and so he just had a major TCR. He only threw 85 miles an hour, and then now he's up to 92 as his max. So it's just gone up like 5 velo. He had a forkball in that TCR way back in the day, and his forkball is now 40-55, so it's like his second or third best pitch. And then if you look at his development history, it's just all greens. The 25's gone all the way up to a 45. The 45's gone up to a 70, and he's already at 60 stuff. So this guy has crazy good current control. So he should be able to pitch really well all throughout the minors, because he already almost has like major league level control. Super advanced for a 19-year-old. Now we're just waiting on to see if he can get some more movement, but the stuff looks legit too. The only weakness he has is the number 1 pitch isn't very good. It's fastball cutter. His cutter's only 40-50. Doesn't have that super high fastball that is really nice to get guys out. So, but he still has like 4 pitches, and the changeup is the big question mark. So essentially, a lot of that stuff rating will be based on this changeup, because the stuff rating comes a lot from the pitches. So if he never gets his changeup, that stuff will probably never hit 60. But even if it's like 55, he'd be pretty solid. But yeah, really, this guy is just a guy to keep an eye on. All comes down to his changeup, I'd say, because the other pitches are already pretty much all there. He'll probably never get this changeup, but the circle change, I mean. These 3 pitches are already pretty developed, so just really, we'll just check on him every few months and see if that changeup can get to like a 35 or so in the next year. But really cool pitcher. I love the Cubs getting a guy like that as a scouting discovery. Really love to see those development paths like that, where a guy just gets so much better. Next up, we have Juan Servin. Servin is another guy that's just, like I said, you notice the tier jump from these like 6, 7, 8, 9 to these top 6. So this guy is just a freak. This guy's 60 movement, so he's almost major league ready now, just waiting on that control. Everything else is major league level, though. He's got low leadership intelligence, which is the one red flag, but the guy has just produced really well. He's being held super slow. Like, he's almost AAA ready right now, AA ready, and he's all the way in the DSL. So Tyler is very slow moving his prospects up. So this guy for me would probably be in high A, maybe even AA. At 20 years old, essentially as soon as he gets 40 or 45 control, he's like major league ready because the movement's so high, playing the bullpen probably. 3 super elite pitches, so this guy's just unbelievable. Just destroying rookie with 14 starts, he has 3 WAR, so just absolutely like fisting those guys down in rookie there. They don't have a chance against him. Been unbelievable. Super nasty 3-pitch guy. So that guy's, just with how good his currents are at that age, is so advanced. He should be pretty legit there. And Araya is another Texas Ranger on this list, and he really fits almost the exact same profile. Just has the same thing where he has a low leadership work ethic, so the bad mentals, which, but it doesn't really matter once they're kind of fully developed. But that's the only, like, same thing. It's kind of like the only downside. He has really advanced pitches. He's super nasty when it comes to his fastball. 65 as a lefty that throws hard, has 60, 55, 65 ceiling. So this guy's ceiling is just sky high. He was one of those like 12th overall pick high school arms that had like a 20-70 changeup, and it actually developed. So sometimes those do, as I've talked about in past videos with some other guys. Sometimes those actually develop, and then that's why those guys get overdrafted a little bit for their currents, because there's a pretty high bust rate on him with the low mentals and the 20 changeup at the draft. So that, but if he would have had like a 35 changeup at the draft or not those mentals, he probably would have been like a top 5 pick. He's so talented. So he kind of fell down to like 12 there, but his ceiling was so high when he wasn't going to fall much past that. And then he actually has looked like he's lived up to it. So pretty much in hindsight, probably would have been like a top 3 pick if you known those things would have come along, that changeup, because you really need that third pitch to be a starter. So now he looks like an ace with like 370 pitches, and he has such insane control, and he's a lefty. He just looks so good. So that guy I have as number 4 pitching prospect under the age of 21. Next up is Bobby Bugs. I could probably should put in hindsight Araya above him, so let's say we'll flip-flop those, but for this video purposes, we'll just leave it how it is. Bobby Bugs, I just want to put super high. This guy is insane. This is just a heartbreaker for PD there. PD in 2027, oh man. So if you guys don't know, the first overall pick, Holiday, from this past draft was one of the best pitching prospects we've ever seen in TLG from the draft. Looks like he's pretty much major league ready right off the hop, and has an incredible profile just like right away. 65, 55 with crazy 80 stamina, high leadership, ground ball, throws 100 miles an hour, 370 pitches, just insane. So if you don't know, Pete picked him 5th overall in 27, and he didn't have the money, so he failed to sign him, and then he went back and he had a huge progression, and then like he was at the same thing, he was really low circle change. So when Pete drafted him, like 3rd overall or whatever it was, 5th overall, he had like a 25 circle change. Almost the exact same thing as Araya, where they're just super high ceiling, but it doesn't look like they have that third pitch, so they had a really high like relief pitcher probability. But then they both got that circle change. And so Araya and Holiday. So Holiday went back to college, and he went up like crazy. Went from 35 to 45 control, went from 45 to 60 current movement, and then his stuff went up like 10. So he looked like a totally different player. Already super good as 5th overall pick, and just turned into like that elite Steven Strasburg type number 1 overall pick superstar. So Pete missed out, unfortunately, on him, and then he had that crazy progression. And that's the heartbreaking part, is the 2nd round pick of that same 2027 draft out of high school was 18-year-old Bobby Bugs. And then Bugs did the exact same thing. So when he drafted him, it would have been in between these two progressions. So it would have been 2027. Sorry, let's look at that again. Yeah, so the draft draft is in May of 2027. So if you look at his scouting report, 2027, he would have been drafting when he saw these. So he would have saw 55, 60, and 30. Super low control. So he was still drafted in the 2nd round because his stuff and movement was just so ridiculous, and his scout might have had higher control than mine. And then he didn't sign him, and then November of that year, he went and had a +10 with +15 potential. Pretty much like a TCR, just went up like crazy. He went up 15 control, got his control back, even because it used to be 45 and that fell off, so he's kind of rediscovered that, and his stuff. And so if you look here, it's gone from 35 to 50, 25 to 35, and 30 to 45 current. So just skyrocketed, and he's still only a sophomore. So he's not in the draft till 2030. So he's not even in the next draft. He's in the draft after that. So another guy that just looks like a crazy elite prospect. And usually, it's kind of like I said earlier, I wouldn't put those guys that are like so far away because they can change so much. But he just looked legit because I got a really high scouting report on him. So those ratings look really accurate. The fact that he was in the draft a couple years ago. And so went to college, just dominated, struck out 37% of guys as a starter. He's still 19, throws 100, has crazy currents. Looks like he could be like a Holiday type prospect, where if that control get up to like 40 or 45, he should be the 1st overall pick. Just has ridiculous stuff and ridiculous movement and 3 ridiculous pitches. The force pretty good too. 30 currents really good for a 19-year-old changeup, so that should develop. That should be like a 52. So this guy has ace written all over him. So it's just really unfortunate for PD. That's why you got to be careful with your money, boys. Pretty much could have potentially let 2 aces walk in one draft in the 1st and 2nd round. Not to call him out. I know it's just a money thing with Minnesota. He's not dumb or anything, but just shows that got to be careful, boys. It's shit like that. You can get unlucky and stuff like that can happen. So this guy is just ridiculous. Number 2, we have Mike Jenkins. Mike Jenkins is an absolute freak. Mike Jenkins is another guy just like Bobby Bugs who this guy was drafted in 2027 in the 2nd round, so we're a year later, a year and a few months in. So if you look here, the scouting report at the draft would have been this one. So I got the update a couple weeks after the draft. So what I was drafting, this guy was in the draft. I had this scouting report here, 30 stuff, 45 potential stuff. So he only had 45, 50, and 45 potentials. And I looked it up online, and his slider was TCR, so it was way lower. So anyways, at the draft, he was like a 2-pitch guy. and then all of a sudden, post-draft, he's just gone crazy. He's gone from 45 to 60 stuff potential, from my scouts' opinion, 50 to 70 movement potential, 45 to 70. That's 25 points up in his control. So he's just gone absolute bonkers. Back in the day, like you said, he threw 94. Now he's up to 99, 101. You can just see he's just gone nuts. There's a million green arrows here. The stuff went up 10 that progression. The movement went up 10 that progression. So it's just constant upward trend. All he's waiting on now is that curveball. The curveball has actually been like 30-50 for like 2 full years now. Hasn't really developed at all, so that's a little scary, but it still should develop. He's still only 19, so it should get to like a 45-50, but the fastball is incredible. The slider's incredible. Worst case scenario, he's just like one of the best relievers in baseball if he doesn't develop that third pitch. So it's really all eyes on that curveball there. But he just has absolutely everything you look for of an ace, other than the third pitch there. He has the high stamina, throws 101, power guy, has high intelligence, just crazy across the board. Incredible. That's about the best in baseball there for ceiling. 60, 70, 70 out of like a young guy. There's just no one else, even the number one guy in this list doesn't have that. So probably the highest ceiling in baseball. If he can just get that third pitch to be fully developed, he have like 7. It could get even better too with how high his ceiling is. You never know. A curveball could get all the way to like 55. But if you some guys really like value that fourth pitch and the 3 really good pitches. So there might be some of you guys that don't quite have them as high as me because you don't think that third pitch good enough. But I'm pretty sure with how out of the park works, the strikeout stuff just kind of comes from mostly from that first pitch and the combination of stuff velocity in the first pitch. And then as long as you have like 3 or 4 pitches, the pitch quality for the second, third, and fourth don't matter as much as what I've read in the past. I don't know if they changed that, but the fastball really determines a lot of the strikeout rate. So even the 20-25 like is better than not having that third pitch or fourth pitch. So anyways, it looks like his ceilings, I won't ramble for long, but that guy is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And unfortunately he's in my division, so I'll have to face him for a long time from the looks of it. Another one of those Atlanta stud arms, so that's a crazy ceiling on him. And I have one guy above him. This guy is above him for just probably mostly because that third pitch issue, but I also just think it was pretty close. This guy's ceiling might be a bit higher, but the third pitch thing really made it kind of was the tiebreaker, with all things considered. So this guy, Tomas Ramirez, is just unreal. So this guy is number 1 pitching prospect in baseball, in my opinion, under the age of 21. This guy is 6'7", throws 101. He has 370 pitches, and this fourth pitch looks legit too. That should be like a 45-50 changeup, so it could be major league quality there too. So essentially, he's like a 4-pitch guy. 3 of them are incredible, all fully developed to major league level. The fastball is definitely major league level, and the 2 other ones at 50 pretty much can play in the majors now too. All he's waiting on is his control movement currents, but he looks unbelievable. He looks 65, 60, 65 ceiling. Just so unbelievably advanced for that age. Absolutely dominating in A-ball there with 24% strikeout rate. Guys are only hitting 211 at the age of 19. So this guy should be in high A, double A next year and probably be in the majors as early as 20 years old. Probably at the end of next year, maybe he could get a sniff, a cup of coffee in the majors, but most likely the year after that when he's like 21, 22 type thing. But looks like this guy is a future top line guy. If nice comparison, I think, to him, in my opinion, would be Baltimore stud for Francisco Crispin. Pretty much the same thing, except Tomas probably even higher ceilings. He throws 5 miles an hour higher, and he has a 4th pitch. But other than that, it looks like Crispin's a really good comparison. But I just think Tomas's ceiling is even higher for those reasons. Plus, I think the control potential is a little higher, and the stuff potential is like 60. But yeah, so it looks like a little bit better version of Crispin, which is saying a lot because Crispin was a main piece on a World Series champion team. And he's stayed healthy as hell and just been unbelievable 3 years in a row with 3 WAR every season. So that's a pretty good guy to be compared to, and he might be even a little bit better. We'll see. Unbelievable talent. So I have him above Jenkins. I just feel a lot better about him turning out. I really feel like there's like a 60% chance this guy's just an absolute stud, where Jenkins really needs that third pitch and a few things to go right. But both those guys just unbelievable talents, and that Bobby Bugs guy. So really nice pitching class. So that is it for this part here, and we're going to move on to the hitters here next. I think I'm actually going to split into 2 episodes because that actually went pretty long, so I'll post them both at the same time though, so I'll just split it into 2. Let's see here, how long is this? Yeah, so that was a good episode. Let's end it there and make this part 1.